of meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Wait.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, now roll.
All right. Counselor Hamilton.
Here.
Counselor Woods. Counselor Daigle.
Present.
Counselor Whitaker.
Here.
And Counselor Smalley. Thank you.
I'm here.
Counselor Grousman
Here.
and Mayor Sumner is excused tonight.
Okay, introduction of media. Do we have any people here this evening? Anyone wishing to speak before the city council tonight on any subject matter will need to fill out a speaker form and turn it into the recorder. Forms are available on the sign-in table in the back of the room. Please turn off your cell phone or silence them during the meeting. Announcement for the Zoom attendees. If you're joining tonight's meeting via Zoom, you will automatically be muted upon entry and you'll need to identify yourself if you're with your full name, if your full name is not already attached to the device being used. You will be unable to unmute yourself. If you wish to speak, use the raise your hand feature. To use it, click on the reactions icon at the bottom of your screen and click on the image of the hand. Reminder for council to speak into your microphone when talking so everybody can hear us. Public comment. The purpose of public comment period is to allow citizens to present information or raise issues regarding agenda items only. There will be a time at the end of the meeting for citizens to speak about off agenda items. A time limit of 3 minutes per citizen shall apply. All citizens must come up to the microphone. I have here Beth Houseman.
Beth Houseman, 109 Frontier Court. So I've been coming to the city council meetings and to the workshop regarding the RV ordinance and have listened to all of your conversations and your concerns over doing what's right and trying to find a compromise to make things work. But it's all about safety, and safety can't be compromised. And everything regarding all the safety issues and how it affects our citizens have been presented. So I'm going to ask that you approve the ordinance regarding the RV prohibition tonight. Also, I'm concerned about the city relying on a citizen complaint only system. I find that citizens who may file a complaint could face harassment or retaliation in person or online. We live in some scary times. And I feel it's up to the city to be taking the bold step and doing the enforcement without waiting on citizen complaints. I feel if you don't, it's almost like the city is looking the other way, hoping the problem will go away. But usually if one person gets away with it, more try it, more try it, more try it. Next thing you know. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Next one we have is James House.
Good evening, Jim Houseman, 109 Frontier Court, Dublin, Oregon. Council President, members of council, I rise tonight also in support of you approving the ordinance regulating RV occupancy tonight. And also your ordinance 1092. Vehicle safety. Both of these are really important to maintain the quality of life and the safety of the citizens. And so I encourage you to move both of those. I'd also like to recognize the outstanding work that staff has done. I've been involved in all these public process meetings, city council meetings. It's a daunting process to take all that data, all that testimony, and put it all together. And, so well done. I'll make sure to get recognition for that. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Anybody else? Okay, the consent agenda for August 14th, 2023 minutes. Do I hear a motion? August 14th.
Okay. I'll make a motion to pass the August 14th, I can know it, minutes as presented.
Discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote.
Counselor Hamilton,
Aye.
Counselor Daigle,
Aye.
Counselor Whitaker.
Aye.
Counselor Smalley. Just give a thumbs up.
His hands up.
Okay. Counselor Grossman.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay. Now, council business, the League of Oregon Cities voting delegate designation, staff report, please.
Good evening, Council President and councilors. We are coming up on the 98th Annual League of Oregon Cities Conference. It is happening in October, the 12th through the 14th. We do have Mayor and Councilor Woods attending that, as well as some staff. And we need to appoint a person who will be this vote for the city at that conference, and then an alternate as well.
And that's only in the case of this day Saturday.
Yes.
Okay. I make a motion to. Oh, I thought
Yeah.
you said
It's just
Yeah.
Councilor Woods and the mayor.
Yeah,
No,
those are
okay.
the only two that are going, so it has to be one of those.
Okay. The mayor.
Yeah, it should be. He's the mayor.
No. Did I? Okay, I make a motion.
I'll second.
Discussion.
I've got to say something. This is not the normal.
Yeah.
And then do we want to appoint Lisa as the alternate
Oh, the
or
alternate.
Counselor Wood?
Was there a vote? Sorry.
So Lisa as the alternate.
Yes.
Okay, let's vote.
Counselor Hamilton.
Aye.
Counselor Daigle,
Hey.
Counselor Whitaker,
Aye.
Counselor Smalley,
Aye.
Counselor Grossman.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, on to the next one, the ordinance regulating occupancy of recreational vehicles, first reading, title only.
An ordinance of the city of Sutherland adding a chapter 8.30 to the Sutherland Municipal Code regulating the occupancy of recreational vehicles.
Staff report.
Council President, fellow councilors, community teammates. Just to give a staff report, we've discussed this at several previous city council meetings, so I, the ordinance. Thank you.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the ordinance and that's the first reading title only. Regulating the occupancy of recreational vehicles and adding chapter 8.30 to the Sutherland Municipal Code.
Any discussion? Yeah. Vote.
Counselor Hamilton,
Aye.
Counselor Daigle,
And
Counselor Whitaker.
Aye.
Counselor Smalley. Counselor Grossman, motion carries.
Okay, ordinance 1092, amending the Sutherland Municipal Code, chapters 8.08 and 10.24, abandoned, hazardous, neglected, or discarded vehicle regulation, impoundment, and disposition, and declaring an emergency. City recorder read ordinance by title only.
An ordinance of the city of Sutherland repealing and replacing chapter 8.08, amending sections of title 10.24.100 and 10.40.010, and repealing 10.40.020 of the Sutherland Municipal Code and declaring an emergency.
Council President, Council. Troy Mills, Chief of Police. So the staff report, I'll let it stand for itself unless you have questions. Essentially, we're revamping some of chapter 8 and repealing some of chapter 10 to deal with some issues that we've been running across within the city as far as hazardous vehicles on the streets and parking illegally on the streets, things like that. My recommendation to council is approve the ordinance. But if you have any questions,
Sean, have any questions? Sean, do you have any questions? Okay. Vote.
We need a motion.
Oh. Hold
Hold on, we need to get a motion on the floor first.
Okay, that's not the question right now.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 1092, amending SMC charters 8.08 and 10.24, abandoned, hazardous, neglected, or discarded vehicle regulation, founding, disposition, and declaration, and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, second. Discussion now.
Well, I have a lot of questions. I have a lot of questions about this. And, I fail to see where it's an emergency, number one. But I don't have any problem with doing this on public property, but private property, I don't like it. I understand that this is already an ordinance, and I could kind of found that out. I'd like to know more about it. I mean, it seems to me like it's pretty restricted. Very restricted, I could go through specific areas, like,
I'm just curious why you didn't contact the chief to get all those questions.
actually, I don't think this was the chief's thing, to tell you the truth. In fact, I wonder who wrote this law. It sounds like somebody who hates cars.
Well, it has his name on the staff report. Anyway, did you want to answer?
So I don't know what I asked you, but you didn't write this ordinance, did you?
yeah, I did. Some of it, yes.
You hate cars?
Sometimes.
I don't. But, you know, things specifically, I'm wondering about this. What was it? There's some sections here where they're talking about it's still remove some of the property off their personal property.
It's not exactly what it says. Can't just go onto people's property and remove their belongings. What it does, it gives us the option of, obviously, starting out with warnings, let them know what the violation is, opening that line of communication with whoever's in violation of it, to see if we can't deal with it. But it's designed for the people that are not in compliance, that don't want to be in compliance. And then we can issue citations. Then we can come to court about those citations, and then they have an opportunity to have that hearing. And then the decision can be made, either the judge can make the decision to have it removed and then pay the fines, or it can be vacated and walk away.
Well, I kind of thought that was the case, but that. And I ran into. this
Did you point to
before.
like the certain section that says that, so I remember what you're looking at?
Yeah. It's section 808. Oh, 1 time. Very active now. One of the things that occurred to me. We- You know, it took me quite a while to read through this. I had to read it a couple of times. I wasn't quite sure I was understanding. So,
Are you talking about the timeframes, 72 hours on public or private property versus the 24 hours on public? Because that's just written according to state law. That's why those hours are there.
well, the other thing, that I think it might be the same problem. If you don't have a driver's license, you can't have a car in your driveway.
I didn't say that. It doesn't say that in the ordinance.
But, you know what, I'll refer to this and say, I'll really talk to them. I'm gonna go to this Virginia.
Yeah, just so you know, the staff reports, who wrote that staff report. Yeah.
Hey, Madam President, I need to ask a point of clarification of our city attorney, if he's awake. Okay. Generally, upon declaring an emergency, it requires a unanimous vote. Does that still hold true?
For the record, Chad Jacobs from the City Attorney's Office. City Manager Gillum, no. So there's two different aspects of what we're talking about here when you think about an emergency. The first is how many readings we have to do before the council can enact it. And if you want to enact it in one reading instead of two, that requires a unanimous vote.
Okay,
The emergency clause, on the other hand, is when the ordinance takes effect. And an emergency clause allows it to take effect immediately, and you don't have to wait 30 days before it takes effect after the council enacts it. So that's where the emergency clause comes in, but that's not required to be unanimous.
yes, thank you. That's why I asked the question so that we knew for clarification. So we're still good to go. So essentially, for those of you who don't understand, there's two elements to creating an emergency and an ordinance. So when we declare an emergency, that means that we can act on and make the ordinance sooner than the 30 or 60 or 90-day requirement. Then there's the other one that requires a unanimous vote of the council in terms of having the ordinance be approved, enacted that very night. So that's pretty much it. And this one isn't asking that, just asking for enacting it sooner than the standard procedure.
Why is it an emergency?
Because we don't want to wait the 90 days to make it effective. We're going into winter months and there are going to be certain vehicles that are going to want to park on our streets during the winter months that we don't want to allow to happen.
Well, I don't object to the thing of public property.
That's what we're talking about.
Private.
But those things have been in the ordinance. We didn't add or amend or change that. That remains the same, and I don't see in any circumstance where we've yanked people's property or told them they can't have a piece of property because they're licensed, because that's just not how we roll.
And it doesn't allow us to, it doesn't work that way. There's
Yeah.
still procedures we have to follow.
So that piece that you're concerned about, I can understand it. That's been in the code for at least 100 years. And this new code in specificity is mostly related and tied to public roads and rights of way that we want to have the ability to remove within a 24-hour period of time under the conditions described.
I don't have any problem. Madam Mayor, I have a. I would like to read one paragraph, which I believe is something in the ordinance, which would help the audience, those present to understand it.
I'm just here to help them with the big words.
Says section 8.08.020, declaration of the open accumulation of storage or and storage of abandoned, hazardous, neglected, or discarded vehicles on private property in violation of state law or this chapter is found to create a condition tending to reduce the value of the property, private property, to promote light, deteriorate, and unsightliness, to invite plundering, to create fire hazards, to constitute an attractive nuisance. Attractive nuisance causing the hazard to the health and safety of minors, to create a harborage for rodents and insects, and to be injurious to the health, safety, and general welfare. Therefore, the presence of such vehicle on private property in violation of state law or this chapter is declared to constitute a public nuisance, which may be abated as provided in this code. So that was for everybody to understand what we're actually talking about.
Are we ready to vote?
All right. Counselor Hamilton,
Aye.
Counselor Daigle,
No.
Counselor Whitaker.
Aye.
Counselor Smalley,
Aye.
Counselor Grossman,
Aye.
motion carries.
Okay, resolution number 2023.12, public works surplus property, staff report.
Hello, Council President, councilors. This is just a couple of pieces of equipment that we know. We have a couple of nice new backhoes and, well, a brand new backhoe and kind of a new backhoe. And all the new plants have brand new generators, and this is an old generator that we no longer use.
Use the backhoe stuff in
Well, we have a new one, a brand new one, and we have an 05. It's got some troubles and
motion.
Motion to approve resolution 2023.12 plus.
Second. Discussion.
Counselor Hamilton.
Aye.
Counselor Daigle.
Aye.
Counselor Whitaker.
Aye.
Counselor Smalley,
Aye.
Counselor Grossman.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Planning Commission application approval, staff report, Senator Porter.
Good evening, Council President and Councilors. The city has one vacancy on the Planning Commission with a term ending December 31st, 2024. We've received one application from Mr. Thomas Schaub, who is a Sutherland resident. And he, I believe, is here tonight and would like to speak on his behalf.
Mr. Schwab?
Evening, Council President and members of the council. My name is Tom Shaw. I've lived here for almost 5 years already. I live at 2074 Culver Loop on the west side of freeway. And I live on the golf course. I love to play golf and I volunteer a lot for the golf course. And with the throwdown, I helped Terry for 2 days. This is my wonderful wife, Peggy Schaub, sitting back there. Almost 30 years of marriage. We were living in paradise and we got burnt out. So we came up here with CRV Honda and a couple suitcases and some shoes. And we made this our residence. We love it. We enjoy it here. We love the community. And I thought I'd like to try to volunteer for the planning. Thank you.
I have a question.
Sorry.
Can you explain something that was really small in your application?
It would never roll over to the next font. To the next font.
I mean, I put it under a magnifying glass. A post to grow.
Yeah, it wouldn't roll over to the next line.
Okay, that's fine. It says opposed to growth if it doesn't fit into your post stand.
I oppose growth that is not geared on safety. If it meets all the ordinance and requirements of the state and of the city of Sutherland, and it looks to be a safety thing, then I would question it. But it's for the good of the public that I would question if it's not safe.
Okay, so it's particularly your opposed if it was not safe.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Motion. I'll make a motion to approve. Schwab. I want to say Schwab.
Shall.
But I don't feel tired, but I'm still working.
Okay, second.
I'll second that motion. Mr. Schwab. Yes. I see that.
Any discussion? Vote please.
Counselor Hamilton,
Aye.
Counselor Daigle.
Aye.
Counselor Whitaker.
Aye.
Counselor Smalley,
Sure.
Counselor Grossman,
Aye.
motion carries.
City manager report.
Yes, Madam President, members of council, this is kind of a last minute insertion that our homeless response team met last week to talk about where we're gonna go next and what our long range plan, if we're still on track with the long range plan, and we've got a unique, diverse team. And so I've asked Wayne to come up, introduce maybe one of his board members, and give a quick snapshot. We had some rapid new changes coming up with more money we think are going to be made available to us. And in terms of transitioning from tent to continuing housing unit to a permanent residence is what we're working on, so that quite frankly we won't need the place anymore. But Wayne, I'm going to turn it over to you, and I've asked Pat to also answer any questions regarding issues and actions that we, the team ourselves, are doing.
How's it going, everybody? Council President, council members, manager, people at home. My name is Wayne Ellsworth, and I'm the president of Umpqua Heart, and I was asked to come to you guys today to do an update. It's been, I think February was the last time I did an update, but what I'd like to do is I'd like to be able to go through some of these things and then have another board member, our treasurer, come up and give you some financials so we can answer some questions. And then we also have our chair, our co-chair, and our secretary from Hastings Village that would like to say a couple things. It shouldn't take long, but I would appreciate to be able to have that ability. So if we could save our questions to the end, that'd be super cool. So Hastings Village, as you know, is a self-governed urban campground that is open to Sutherland and Oakland residents. It's run by a council that is voted on or voted in by their peers and supported through the city of Sutherland, Umpqua Heart, several local churches, and citizens of Sutherland. The oversight and maintenance of the property is done by the villagers and is being developed by the city's Public Works Department. The village council is comprised of 5 members and is led by a chair, co-chair, and secretary. The oversight committee is comprised of the Umpqua Heart, I guess me, the president, the Sutherland city manager, Sutherland's livability coordinator, city recorder, public works director, and police captain. So here's some numbers from, we've seen 115 unduplicated people between November of 2021, December of 2022. So those are old numbers that I've already put on because I just wanted to show you what it looked like in that particular year, the first year that we were open. We helped permanently house 17 people. One was a family of 5, another one is a family of 3. 10 were reacquainted and are living with family. 14 are homeless in a different town other than Sutherland or Oakland. One has passed away for medical reasons. 28 of this count are still finding shelter in the village. 4 villagers have had extended stays at our county jail. I think one of them's out now. And that leaves us with 41 people that I didn't get a chance to document. Either I wasn't there or we didn't have the proper, documentation. So from January of 2023 to September of 2023, including the previous 28, we have served, with the information that I've collected from the Hastings Council, 55 individuals. We are currently at 35 individuals. As far as I know, 4 of these folks were housed. Now they aren't, and one has returned to the village. And one has moved on his own will and is living in Umpqua with family right now. We trespassed 2 individuals for creating disturbances needing law enforcement intervention. 2 people left because they were unwilling to move their animal that bit a person offering services in the village. So Hastings Village has a total in the time frame. It was just, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because a lot of the stuff has been questioned that I only shine, rainbows and sprinkles, which that's pretty much my whole life. But when it comes to this, Hastings Village has had a total of 3 fires, consuming 6 structures and injuring 1 villager with a small superficial burn to their foot. We've had 1 violent physical altercation that ended with a broken arm. Hastings has had 1 official overdose, 1 unofficial that were reversed. There has been 1 case where a villager wasn't able to tend to their needs and was placed in a long-term care facility by Adult Protective Services, UHA, and Umpqua Heart volunteers. There's 1 dog bite that is being handled currently. And as everyone might have noticed, we're having a problem with villagers bringing in a bunch of things and creating an eyesore. So things that we've been able to do, we partnered with SKP Park and we're able to employ 3 individuals to do their lawn maintenance as needed. Adapt Integrated Health is currently helping with transportation IDs, showers, referral to employment, referrals to housing, and referrals to SSI and SSD resources on a weekly or more basis. HIV Alliance has distributed doses of naloxone, collected 3,800 needles, distributed 450 wound care kits, 1,200 pairs of socks, 60 condoms, and administered 28 HIV, Hep C, and syphilis tests. The reason why I have these numbers is because they're really good at documenting things, which is awesome. So they help on a weekly basis. Umpqua Health Alliance helps on a weekly basis and has contributed $100,000 to the development of new shelters that are currently built and ready for installation. Aviva Health currently is helping their primary care patients. UCAN has distributed 10 propane vouchers totaling $7,500, and Advantage Dental helped 4 villagers get brand new teeth. So that's a pretty good little snapshot of what we're doing here. So I just wanted to go to what we were going to be able to do when it comes to the phases on the property, because there's been a lot of questions surrounding that of what we do. So phase 1 was going to be able to develop an urban campground. We've been able to do that with your guys' help and your guys' support. We were also in the phase 1 looking to acquire a chunk of property that we were able to develop initiative when it comes to affordable housing. We had a property in mind, but it was shut down by citizens in town. So we are currently looking at 3 different properties. We have one in mind. We'll be bringing it up in front of the Umpqua Heart Board on Wednesday to get support. And if it votes through, then we'll be working with the Sutherland leadership team to be able to see what that looks like going forward. And it is within the city of Sutherland, and it's to create affordable housing and include tiny homes or other kind of needs too. We were able, or in our first phase, we were supposed to be able to develop some infrastructure, and we were going to try to put in another access. We were going to talk about fire suppression systems and fire mitigation plans, security and safety of the fence, proper gates, proper staffing that is employed by Umpqua Heart. But none of those funds came through in that original contract. We had none of the funds come through. So we've been able to do all of this on the backs of volunteers. And luckily, we have some people in the Hastings Village Council that have taken their responsibilities very seriously, and they're doing good work. We've been able to provide adequate water. We're still looking to put sewer and electricity, but we're having a problem with the water because we found a way to jack up like a $580 water bill. I have no idea how we did that. And I'm not very happy about it, and everybody over there knows about it. We've been able to provide sanitary services such as portable toilets, portable hand washing stations, and proper agreements with supportive services for showers and laundry. Temporary sheltering and community service infrastructure is another thing that we were going to do. We're going to do temporary housing structures that were 10 feet by 20-foot canopies or tents. We were able to do that with Umpqua Health Alliance's dollars. And now originally we said we were going to settle on 10 structures, and we have 16. So we were able to do a lot more with the money that we have. I want everybody to remember, though, that this original plan was for $1.6 million to be able to facilitate. We've been able to do it on the last year for $100 and some thousand, and Dane's going to talk about that after I'm done, which is something that nobody else can say. We've been able to do this. The urban campground was supposed to be coordinated and overseen by Umpqua Heart staff in conjunction with the city of Sutherland. Of course, we don't have any staff, so we had to lean on our volunteers really heavy. Laundry facilities were supposed to be temporarily provided with a shower unit, but for some reason the washer and dryer never worked on a portable shower unit. I know because I used to run it. Let's see here, community kitchen. We wanted to be able to develop a community kitchen, but we waited until we were doing our reset, our build out, which is happening on Wednesday, which I'll talk about here in a second. Warming and cooling initiatives for when it comes to hard weather. We were hoping to do those kind of things with this community center, but we didn't get a chance to build it. So luckily a couple churches stepped up last minute and was able to help with cooling centers and warming centers. So we were very appreciative about that. Now, with the money that we got from UHA, it was supposed to be used for our phase 2, which is going to be our storage container apartments. They're on the screen right behind you. We were able to work with Great Northern Trailer and North Star Fabrication, and we were able to build 3 apartment units out of 50-foot storage containers that we purchased from Haley Equipment and Tractor. These are 8 feet by 12-foot apartments. They have heating and cooling. They have 1 outlet. They have a light and a light switch. Very, very simple. They're either to house a couple or 2 people that can cohabitate without fighting. But you can see that they're insulated and that they're framed in real nice. And these are for people that are continually looking to get out of houselessness. So they have to adhere to a Umpqua Heart plan. That's a coordinated care model with our organizations that we're partnered with. When it comes to the canopies, they are going to take the platforms and we're going to put them on top of the hill in the back of the property to develop duplexes and 10 by 20 micro shelters. The 10 by 20s are supposed to be used for families or couples, and the duplexes are going to end up being 10 by 10, and they're going to be for single or double occupancy, depending on if people can cohabitate together. So we're going to stick with the 35 people like you guys have made the decision to host. In our original plan, we said for 50. What we found out though at 35 people, and it was exactly what I thought, that we wouldn't have the resources in the little town of Sutherland to be able to help all the folks. And just as you guys would thought, you know, if we have something really, really nice, other people will try to access those nice things. In the last week, we've actually had one lady that was dropped off with nothing. I can't remember who dropped her off, from Myrtle Creek. She is in her sixties. And we were able to, with the village council, they were able to take care of her, but she was from Myrtle Creek. And then we've also got 5 people from Roseburg that just showed up. So we have to be able to go in there and help those folks transition back to where they came from. Other than that, that's pretty much all I have for an update. When it comes to what's going to be happening, as of Wednesday, we made a decision with the Southern leadership team in Elmville Heart to do a reset of the property in light of the many complaints that we've been having surrounding around garbage and donations that are being brought into the village. What that is going to entail is we're going to take those contained housing units and we're going to put them around the easement on the property, and we're going to develop the top of the hill and start moving people in there while taking all of the extra stuff out. So we gave a notice to everybody living there for the last 30 days to be able to take all of their personal possessions off of the property, or they run the risk of losing them. We have some support. We have others that really don't support it, that are living in the village. And we always made it a point to say that this is never a permanent thing, that this is transitional when it comes to the urban campground, and that we were never supposed to be in the business of housing everybody's personal belongings. However, since we didn't get any of the funding, and I know this could be used as an excuse, and I'll take full responsibility. Again, when it comes to anything accountability wise, I'll take it all on my shoulders. I can handle it. The thing is, we weren't able to collect the amount of money to be able to hire an executive director and the proper staff to give you guys what you wanted. However, we've been able to do it with almost any money, and still we got the people off the streets. Our parks are still clean, and people feel safer in Southern. So we did a pretty decent job with nothing. So I'm gonna stop right there. I'm gonna have Dane come up for a second, then after that, I'm gonna have the chair of the village come up.
I'm Dane Zinger, he, him pronouns, and I am the treasurer of Buffalo Hearts with Wayne. And I was just gonna kind of fine tune, Wayne hit on something. We did a lot with nothing. Because we basically got 100,000 from UHA, 9,000 from the United Way, and $17,500 in donation. And since the beginning, that's about $126,000 and some change. And I think the city has put in about $55,000. When you break that out, there's about $179,000. With 114 people, costs us about $1,500. And a lot of volunteer labor. I think the combination, our goal is this is a transitional place, and I think Wayne hit and touched on some of those things. We had hope, and we're continuing to serve. Because if we can get an executive director, we can get some peers working. Instead of utilizing all the peers that are coming out there, other agencies, connecting people to care, getting them housed, that is our goal. This is a transitional, this should not be a permanent situation for anybody. Our goal is to get people housed. And so I think, the container shelters cost us about $75,000. And they should be a great addition to Hastings Village. The 2 homes that we built, the tiny homes were about $8,000. The platform, $6,400. Canopies, we invested about $6,400 so far. And I think the city, part of that, replacing some of those that went through the fire. But that's roughly about $95,000. We have $10,000 reserved for trailer right now, and about $10,000 in our regular budget that is allocated. The insurance costs on a year-to-year basis right now is about $1,700, just to safeguard the board of directors, Oklahoma Heart, and the agency itself. But I think if we can fine tune, find some funding, we can just accent more of those people to care, and I think that's our goal. I commend the city of Salt Lake for doing this, because there's not a lot of cities that have done this and taken this on, and I think it's great. But I just kind of wanted to fine tune, because I know there's been some questions on money, and I think it's good to know, and we're happy to share our information. We fine tune our budgets on the basis, so we are welcoming and share that information. And I think that's why I was kind of trying to give a little bit of numbers on what we've done with the money. And I think we've done some great things. I think the city of Salt Lake has done some great things.
I appreciate your time this evening.
Madam.
Any questions?
Yeah, could I ask Pat to come up? He's got a log of all the monies he's been applying for with either in partnership with Wayne. And Wayne has actually himself applied for monies too, but I mean, it's kind of like fishing. We hope we can reel one in. We do feel fairly confident with the Merkley Wyden monies, but go ahead, Pat.
Well, that's the one, happening, the Livability Services Director, whatever that may mean. Jerry's referring to a bill that is pending in Congress. It's, some people call it slush funds, some people call it pork. It's a list of 140 things in Oregon that our senators have put into bill form with their colleagues in Washington, and it's awaiting a vote and signature. And there's $650,000 earmarked in that for Sutherland for this and other similar projects. We have in total $3.8 million we're fishing for. None of that guaranteed, of course. The sad part of this is, to me, that we're working really hard to do this and we're not quitting. We're going to figure out a way to make this happen in a little bit more meaningful and large way than we're be able to handle right now. And our senators have been great, actually. They've been the biggest cheerleaders. It's sad, however, that you have some place like Portland is everybody's example nationwide that's spending $130,000 a day, about what we spent in 2 years. $130,000 a day on projects that are failing. All they're doing is creating more homeless. You may know that our governor has been behind many of the initiatives in the state to support homeless projects and agencies. Unfortunately, none of that money has trickled down to rural counties. There is some that we've made application for out of the $200 million that went to homeless projects statewide. $21 million was allocated to the 12 rural counties to be divided up by the agencies that they have funded for since 1970. So we have a tremendous homelessness industry in Oregon and in our country that is rewarding failure. And organizations like Umpqua Heart and others that are really on the front lines of this are kind of ignored, quite honestly. We've worked very hard to develop relationships with our state representatives and our senator, as well as our federal representatives and senators, and we hope they're going to turn the corner here. They're actually talking about funneling money down to ground level where the work is actually being done. Our best number guess is that about 93% of the money that goes into the homeless industry goes to the agency. And between 6 and 7% of it actually gets to the homeless people that need the help the most. So we're working very hard to come up with a more robust budget that will do what we want to do for our homeless population. But more than that, this feeds directly into a problem we've got in rural Oregon, and Sutherland is really a kind of a classic example. We would love to have new industry. We would love to have new folks in that would like to start businesses. There's no place for them to live or their employees to live. So along with this, we're also working on affordable housing development, working with federal agencies, state agencies, and with our local nonprofits to try to form partnerships so that we can get some of the money that's flowing out of Washington and Salem to put into housing initiatives here that would help the whole community. So that's kind of the nickel view of the picture, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
What does the agency do with their money?
Pay their staff, pay for pretty fancy office buildings. It's not that they're not doing anything and have no connection to homeless people. It's that the money that it takes to make a difference isn't getting where it belongs. Most of the design of the agencies that are supposedly helping our homeless population right now were based on models from the 1970s, 50 years ago, and they really haven't changed. Hopefully, we're going to see some of that in the not too distant future, because there are initiatives afoot to make a difference. But it's all just going to overhead, and there's a lot of it.
Usually is.
I have a question. I'm not sure which one would want to answer it. How long are they projected to stay in these? Are they still working to get out of there and get out on the phone?
So when it comes to the Umpqua Heart model, they can stay there as long as they want, as long as they are working with a case manager or peer support specialist. It is designed to break down all the barriers and gaps to get that person to a spot where they are self-sufficient. We're anticipating though, especially with the work that we've been doing with the Roseburg Navigation Center, talking to those folks. If you have the right supports in place and the right people doing the work, you should be looking at about a 6-month turnaround. Should be. But I would like to take some time and let Rodney come up real quick so we can hear a little bit. This is the chair of the Hastings Village Council. You want to
So we've gotten people jobs coming in, get them work. That's a big thing too, being homeless, is the work. It's hard to stay clean. People don't want to hire the homeless. And I think that's a big step in the process, is getting them work and getting them back into a financial status. I think it's a great program. I believe in it. That's the reason I'm there. I don't know much else on that. Not a big speaker. Anybody have any questions or anything I can answer?
I've got one for either you or Wade. I understand that a lot of the trash and garbage around there, people that don't need things, take it over there and drop it off at the curb or wherever they take. Is that a true statement? No, how can we?
We do have a lot of that going on. Not all of what garbage there. Really, it's just hoping that people, will stop just trying to get a cheap way of going to the dump. But really, we have a donation coordinator, and hopefully that will help weed that out, because then she can look at it and go, okay, we don't need this. This is just trash, and send them on their way to the dump. And so we're trying to battle with that. We have some people that are dumpster diving and hoarders and stuff, and we've been trying to talk to them and get them, more prone not to bring home stuff. And we'll see how that goes.
So if somebody comes to drop something off, there is someone to meet them.
Yes.
And tell them yay or nay.
Yeah, that is actually the second chair. He's in charge of donations.
So do we have a sign up that says no dumping or no putting stuff out there?
I do not believe so.
On the gate?
No, we do not.
I think you do.
maybe somebody took it down? I don't remember it. The only sign I know is the rules and expectations. Or no parking.
If we don't, I guess we could take the habit and also to specify the ordinance of a fine if they do drop off and make it, make a left turn as fast as they can. So, keep it up there, maybe enforce that more. If you guys do have anything that would be for us to help you with it.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
All right, next up, we'll have Danny, who is our co-chair. She's also the coordinator for the donations.
Hi, it's Danielle, but I go by Danny. I am the donation coordinator there, and I don't let a lot of things come in that I don't think that we need. I only get what people actually need, not what they want. It's not about what you want, it's about what you need. And this, with us, the way we are right now, it's just, you know, something that you have to think about. You know, a lot of people do out there put us down, and everyone thinks that, you know, because we're homeless, we're druggies, or we're this, or we're that. And, you know, there's a lot of good people out there. I never thought that I would be in this spot, but I am. And it sucks, it does. But you know what? I'm not gonna give up. I'm not gonna give up on Wayne. Wayne has done a lot for all of us out there. And for people to ridicule him, it's ridiculous. He's helped me, he's helped my husband. I have a very sick husband who is on disability. And this heat has taken a toll on him. There's days that he can't even get out of bed. You know, so I do my best around there to try and help everybody out. People just, you know, it's just crazy with the way that people want to talk and run their mouths and things like that. And to me, it's like, you guys don't understand until you're in that position. If it weren't for all my donators that donate to us, thank God for them, because they're awesome. The signage on the gate, that would be awesome if we could get that, because there are a lot of people that do come down there that just want to dump off couches or, you know, just stupid stuff like that. I do have my phone number and my name on a website for you to contact me, to ask me what we need. Or Mary Ann, she has a website. I just tell her what we need. She puts it on there. Or they can call me. They call me, I meet them at the gate. I tell them, we go from there. But yeah, a signage would be good, because there are a lot of people that like to leave stuff during the middle of the night. And I can't control that, but, and then we do have, like Rodney was saying, we do have some people down there that are hoarders, and we are working with them and trying to get them to clean up, but it's not gonna happen overnight. And that's what I think the city of Sutherland needs to understand. It's not gonna happen overnight. We are working on it, and we are getting it done. So.
Is there counseling available to those people?
So we do not force any kind of services. It is offered. I mean, we do have Adapt there every Friday with multiple peer support specialists that come out and offer those services, but until they take them, we cannot force that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. I'm just curious. Well, and it could be my memory. Have we ever voted as a council on anything for the? Nothing's ever been brought to us to vote, correct?
You voted on the plan and the IGA or MOU that we have with them that authorize this process. Is, you know, we talked about it at your retreat,
Right.
and have been talking about it for a period of time.
Okay.
The one thing, Wayne, and maybe our city attorney can help answer it better, is a great debate on what low barrier is, because there's talk about us establishing certain criteria and rules, and so of course what we've learned is that if you do that, you change the dynamic from the ability to make immediate decisions to creating basically a residential agreement. And I think there's some confusion with how much authority we have when we keep it low barrier. Do you want to talk about that?
I would not know any of the specifics when it comes to residency and being part of a community. I do know that we set up certain things in place to not be able to create residency, because that was a big deal. That's why somebody came in and put in a mailbox, and that was one of the things that we had to remove. So in turn, what we did is we set up a PO box. But when it comes to exact residency, the folks that are living in Hastings Village or staying in Hastings Village are there on a temporary basis. And that's the best that we can do through our articles of habitation that we've drafted and making sure to put our stops in place. But if Chad would like to add to that, if he can.
Sure. Thanks, Wayne. Again, Council Chad Jacobs from the City Attorney's Office. So I think Jerry's asking about two things. One is residency, and one's, you know, why we need to maintain a low barrier shelter. With regard to residency, the issue there, and I think Wayne was just touching on this, is that we really need to make sure that we're taking various steps to not create a residency situation so you can run into tenant landlord situations. You want to avoid any sort of requirements under the tenant landlord code where you're going to have to provide eviction notices and go through that entire process if you need to trespass someone off the property, for example. So, Wayne and I know his folks have been working very hard and diligently to make sure that that doesn't occur. The second issue related to low barrier and what that means for folks who don't know is that there's different levels of shelters that are provided. Some shelters have very strict requirements. For example, you've got to be clean and sober before you can come into the shelter. Those are called generally high barrier shelters. A low barrier shelter is a shelter where there's basically no restrictions or no limitations on who can come into the shelter. And why that's important in this regard is that one of the very reasons, and there's obviously many reasons why we're doing this, there's moral reasons, there's humanity reasons, but one of the reasons that the city has helped work on Hastings Village is because of the requirements of the case law that we've talked about from the city of Boise, as well as House Bill 3115. And as you recall, what those laws require is that if we don't have a shelter for people to use, then we have to allow them to camp on city streets. And so when the courts look at whether or not there's a shelter for someone to use, they're going to look at all those restrictions, such as whether someone has to be clean and sober before they can go in there. And the reason that we create a low barrier shelter is that way, since we don't have restrictions on where people can go or on who can use the facility, we're allowing anyone to come in and use that facility, and therefore we can still prohibit them from sleeping in the parks or sleeping downtown in front of businesses and things of that nature. And so that's why it's really important that you keep the low barrier shelter in place to make sure that that space is truly available to individuals when they need it. And that's, I think, the issue that Jerry was asking about for the low barrier shelter. With either of those, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have, and I hope that information provides you a little bit of background as to some of these issues that are pending.
Said it a lot better than I would. But I do have one more person if I could get, are you not going to do it? Okay. All right. Sounds great. Mary Ann, did you want to say something on the volunteer side? So Mary Ann is the host of our Facebook site, which is the Hastings Village Facebook page. And it is a very positive site talking about all the good things and not as much about the bad things. So she talks about our volunteer side.
Anyway, I started this site about a year ago, and I have a storage unit at my church that when I get a lot of clothes and stuff, I take up there. Then I call Danny to see what she needs. But she gives me a list, which she just did now, and I'll post it on my site. I have 216 people on that site, all positive. And they will go right down and take whatever they need. So I kick off a lot of people when they start talking about these people and the mess they have there. We do know they have a mess, and they will clean it up. I'm like grandma, they call me the pig lady. I says, come on, pick up the garbage. And so somebody, I love those people. I just want to give them a chance. So anyway, my site is Hastings Village, and I'm on Facebook. And I support Wayne and Daddy. Come on.
So does anybody have any other questions?
I just have one.
Sure.
You mentioned that somebody drove up from Myrtle Creek and dropped somebody off.
I have no idea how she got here. For some reason, I believe our police officers helped us. Was it one of our police officers?
Yeah.
Ended up.
Well, and then you said that there are 4 new people there from Rose.
Yeah, I found that one out.
And I kind of thought that this was for Oakland, Sutherland, and I know we can't refuse the legislation. But if everybody decides they want to just bring people out here, then what?
That's a very good question. And like I've said, since the beginning, I've been very consistent with this village is for Sutherland and Oakland people. I can say it out loud as much as I want. But we did find out how those other folks from Roseburg were told to come up to our village. And I will help them transition out of there. And that's going to be pretty much the story. From here on out is the village council let me know if they give me a weekly list of all the people that are staying there and the new people. And when I find somebody, I'll make sure to go and make contact with them, ask them where they're from. And if they say they're from Roseburg, I'll help them transition back to Roseburg using one of our partnering agencies for now. But if they refuse to go, then it could be a different situation. I don't know how to handle that.
We do have a 3-day grace period for people that are not from Sutherland. So,
We work with them for 3 days.
yeah.
Try to get them where they want to be. Somebody from Myrtle Creek doesn't want to be in Sutherland. They want to live with their, family and whatever. So it usually works out.
But the thing is, we're required by the law to let people come there, and we really don't have any method of kicking them out. If all of a sudden 30 people come and they want to be in Hastings Village, and we can't put them in Hastings Village because we don't have the room, then they're free to go to the park, right?
It's a very weird situation, but you're on the right track. It's a little frustrating because instead of, you guys having the foresight of creating something that would make our streets a little bit nicer to live in and those kind of things and helping out people with the place, other cities don't have your same kind of compassion. Other cities put stuff in place to be able to mitigate it through police intervention to the point of moving people every day. And those people are getting tired of being moved. So they're looking for safe places to be. So there is a good chance that that could happen. However, we also have to be mindful of the fact that there's still 75 homeless kids in our school that could be out of the streets at any time. There's 120 families living in RVs on people's properties that could be homeless at any time. So there's a lot of stuff that we're continuing to look at as the City of Sutherland leadership team, Uncle Hart, all the partnering organizations, and how we can do this in a way where we can, build up what Sutherland's trying to do, plus help other communities build what they want to do. And so far, you guys are the only ones that did something. And it's very much appreciated. Sometimes it doesn't look like it, but it is very appreciated.
Thank you, Wayne, and thank you for the update. Appreciate it. So now council comments. Oh, Gary.
Nancy, you got something to do? Come on up. She just reminded me, you're doing something. I don't even remember what it is. Nancy does our media, like she does.
Communications.
We can hear you.
Well, you invited me to bore everyone with statistics.
Yeah,
So I will keep it brief.
actually, she did, and I was told I had to allow it.
I promise I'll keep it brief. This is just an update on the social media for Sutherland. Facebook wise, within the past 28 days, now that reason we're doing this gives you an idea of the reach that the Facebook page has, which in the past 28 days exceeded 48,000. So that means 48,000 people saw what is on the Facebook. Now I could go into more detail, but I won't. A great
That's
part-
cool.
Yeah, yeah. A great part of that, over 31,000 of that reach was related to one post regarding the playground at Fort Smith. So
That's really cool.
it's all integrated and everything pushes everything along. And to sum up, the other part of this is the newsletter. From Facebook, the reach is approximately 500. None of these numbers are static. They change all day, every day. Melanie has created a email list of 600 people. Hard copies get distributed to 40 businesses within Sutherland. Then that's a total of 512, and that number goes up every month as well. So that's
You do great work. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. Okay, council comments, Gary.
Nothing.
Councilor.
Yes, I need. Yes, we have a way of letting, the individuals at Great Northern, that we appreciate their effort in building a, community for a way of someone knowing how to get a hold of them. That's great.
Yeah, we don't
They're
know.
hard to get a hold of.
Well, we should
Mhm.
publicly thank them for their, helping. Okay, and the, again, I like to thank the Lions Club for putting the flags out for us.
Madam President, also don't forget Sean.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's nice having you on here. I hope you feel better. Anyway, I like to thank the Lions Club for the flags. Fire department, I hope you guys have slowed down a little bit. You've had a lot of fires and stuff. So I hope that's better. Police, I know there's challenge of, I can't remember the name of it, I'm sorry.
Heroes. To the heroes.
Challenge of the Heroes on the 28th at Dakota Street, starting at
At 5:30.
5:30. So if you want to go and have them serve you and support our police, that would be great.
And Nellie's.
Oh, the fire's doing it too. I'm sorry.
Come down to Nellie's.
Oh, you're done at Nellis. Oh, okay. Look at my notes. Okay, so that's all I have. Public comment. The purpose of public comment is to allow citizens to present information regarding items off the agenda. A time limit of 3 minutes per citizen shall apply. Do we have anybody who would like to come up to the mic? Oh, I thought she was gonna get brave. Nobody? Okay, meeting adjourned.
Night, everybody.
Good night.
Thanks.